Welcome back, everyone, to another segment of the MCR. Mac and me. My name's TJ. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you're watching us on Rumble, thank you very much. We're just really trying to push Rumble. In this segment, we are going to reflect, talk, vent, all of the above, I guess, on this shooting in D.C. last week. As I was reading the various news reports, bits and pieces of information regarding this horrible incident started smacking me in the face. And I found myself getting angry again. Uh, a 20-year-old female with the rank of Specialist Fourth Class by the name of Sarah Beckstrom, along with and I guess the guy's prior service Air Force, and so I don't know if he was Air National Guard or because sometimes people from other services will go into, say, this National Guard reserve component. But they list him as Air Force Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf with an E at the end. They were both shot in the head. I don't know at what range. Uh, Shot by an Afghani, which we'll talk about a little bit later here. And the weapon of choice was a .357 revolver. Now, both of these
Well, I'm,
two,
I'm guessing he had to be somewhat close.
yeah, but I got to tell you, being shot with a .357, I'm surprised they weren't killed on the spot. And I'll,
That is amazing to me too. But I'm thinking he had to be within. I mean, even if you're a pretty good shot, 75 feet.
well, within 50 most likely,
Yeah,
50 to
right.
20 feet. I don't know. Those details, I did not see those details anywhere. Uh, Here's where it gets messed up. Neither of these two were armed. Okay.
Which
However,
is
they're
inexcusable as far as I'm concerned. And that falls right in Pete Hegseth's lap.
well, you know, I'd say get them because they're going to say, oh well, they weren't. I don't know what kind of terminology they'd use. They need to be certified, this or that. Well, get them certified before you put them out there. But
Yeah,
get
it's
them.
like sending a cop out with no firearm. It's absurd.
Uh, Now, being
Because that's
ambushed,
basically what they're acting as is police.
yeah, being ambushed is being ambushed. So being armed, they might have still gotten ambushed in the manner in which they were. One of the news reports I read was there was a third National Guardsman present who was armed, and he was the one, I guess, who took down the Afghani perpetrator. Okay. Uh, there's something very interesting about this Afghani. Mac, have you heard much or read much about this Afghanistan guy?
Know that he was brought here as a so-called refugee.
All right, well, it's worse. It's worse than just that. He was recruited and trained by the CIA to operate in what was deemed to be the CIA's elite unit in Afghanistan. The guy's brother was the platoon leader, okay? And
That would explain his skill set with the pistol then.
yeah, and I got to tell you, recruited and trained, because see the people representing the previous Biden administration, they're all yelling that he was vetted, he was vetted. Well, you know what? Maybe he was lackadaisically. I don't know. You would like to think the CIA knows who they're recruiting and training, or do
That
they?
brings that brings me to that exact question. Do they? And guess who has CIA connection? Our beloved Senator Alyssa Slutkin from the state of Michigan.
You know,
She's always bragging about how she was CIA, and then she makes a comment. I'm worried the guardsmen are going to start shooting American citizens, which is completely unwarranted, especially when they're unarmed. So I think she has blood on her hands, and I pray to God she gets what she's got coming.
well, and your thoughts were similar to mine in that here we have our Michigan senator shooting her mouth off the other week. Oh, and to be affiliated with the very group that recruited and trained and brought this guy to our country. You
She
know,
may escape justice in this life, but she won't in the next. She
now
has blood on her hands, and maybe she can beg God's forgiveness, but I doubt that would ever happen.
in regards to the weapon of choice the Afghani perpetrator used, just some thoughts. 357 revolver. That's no slouch of a handgun. I own a 350. Oh, and it was a Smith and Wesson too. Though there are different models. I have a Model 19 357 Magnum, so I'm very familiar with the capabilities of that particular caliber. Uh, it's 357 has a velocity of anywhere from 1250 to 1500 feet per second, depending on the barrel length, depending on the load of the that particular cartridge, because you can get them as you can get the projectile as low as 125 or as high as 155, hollow point lead, whatever, and it all affects the velocity of the projectile. But there there was a study done many years ago, and 357 was determined to have a 97% one shot stop capability. They define a one shot stop as uh, to guarantee a one shot stop, you need to hit the head, heart, or spinal column. But in the event that you don't hit a head, heart, or spinal column, uh, how effective is that particular caliber? Well, 357 is the top caliber at 97%. Most of the other calibers with modern day hollow points are in the low 90s. So really, with any caliber, it's really no slouch. But what I find a warped curiosity, for lack of a better term, is the guy picked perhaps one of the deadliest handgun calibers he could have. Uh,
So if you shoot someone in the head, you intend to kill them.
yeah, and when I heard they were shot in the head, I thought, my gosh, I'm surprised they weren't dead on the spot. Now the unfortunate female did die the day later on Thanksgiving Day.
Well, her
Okay,
father said that she had a mortal wound and she would not survive it.
yeah.
I guess obviously they told him that, or because I'm sure he was hoping till the end. But
Uh, the staff sergeant is in critical but stable condition. The perpetrator is in serious but stable condition right now in the hospital. Thank goodness they had the third National Guardsman there. But
well, I'll be glad that he'll live so he can get his execution.
yeah, and going back to the warped interest, I say that for lack of a better term. I find it interesting. The guy didn't use an AR. He didn't use a high capacity 9 millimeter because those are always the easy evil weapon of choice. I mean,
But
it
this is easily concealed, as you know.
yeah. Uh, I just find it interesting. Most 357 revolvers are six. Maybe with the very modern revolvers, you might have a seventh cylinder or a seventh round capability in the cylinder. But most revolvers, uh, well, you know what he could have had a snub nose 38 with a five shot cylinder too. So we'll say anywhere from 5 to 7 shots at most. Whether or not he had speed loaders or any of that, I saw nothing in the news reports about it,
Well, it
but
doesn't sound like there was this transaction happened probably very quickly.
oh yeah, I watched the tail end of the video and it was hard for me to see exactly what was going on because it was happening so fast. Uh, yeah, and as I mentioned, the guy was recruited and trained by the CIA. I just
Well, that organization, and I don't know what President Trump's plans are. That organization needs to be gone.
well,
I mean, shut that shit down today.
um,
Turn the lights off, blow up the building or tear it down, bulldoze it, whatever you have to do. But those people need to go the hell away because they have declared war on this country for their own. They're like a cabal. They're no good. Oh, and by the way, neither of us would ever commit suicide, just in case.
Yeah. Uh, you know, the in looking at President Trump's response, I have to wonder if he's not getting his fill of this nonsense. Uh, you got a stupid reporter calling him out for blaming the previous administration, only for him to turn around and say, "Are you stupid?" Now you can say he probably shouldn't have said that to her, but I think that went to
Well,
the
when they
level.
here's the thing. And normally, I would agree with that, and I've said so in the past that the harsh words don't aren't effective. And then they hurt us more than they help us. But you know what? These people are so damn dishonest in their questions.
Oh yeah,
And they're not there to ask a question. They're there to debate and argue and try to make him look bad. So I don't have a problem with him calling her or asking the reporter if they were stupid. Oh, and by the way, he didn't call that woman Piggy. He called her by her name, which was Peggy. But again, they lie through their teeth on a daily basis.
uh huh. So and now I hear Trump's put immigration uh, pretty much on hold. I heard it a couple different ways, so I'm not really sure exactly. I don't know if it's immigration from third world countries or immigration from involving Afghanistan immigrants. Because there's another guy out there, unrelated. He went on TikTok making bomb threats about wanting to go to Fort Worth, Texas. I do believe that Afghani has since been arrested. So
Well, I'll tell you what. We need to cut the head of the snake off, and that's right. That's at the start of the CIA and Alyssa Slotkin, who's part of that organization still. I do believe
yeah,
she
and
did make the comment, and I'll never forget it, and I'll say it every chance I get. When she was running for the House here in Michigan, and you can find this in look, you can look on YouTube and look it up. You don't have to believe us, but she said party before country, and then she wants to constantly tell us what a patriot she was and
oh
about her service. Please.
yeah. So also, Trump has sent out a threatening message about addressing the immigrant status of the out of control Somali immigrants in Minnesota.
Well,
So
they need to.
I mean, anyone who's kept tabs on that situation, that situation's become obscene. Uh,
I wonder what the media would say if Trump went to, I don't know, let's say England or Ireland and brought in 100,000 English or Irishmen or a combination thereof and dumped them right there in Minnesota.
and Obama was the one who did that. I
I know
do
exactly
believe.
what he did. You know what? If you go to the west coast of Michigan, it looks like Juarez, Mexico. Now, you know as well as I do, today, for instance, I don't know, they might have a foot and a half of snow. Why would anyone from Mexico decide to settle there where the employment was not good? Why would they go there? They didn't go there. They were put there
Yeah.
by
Uh,
Obama, Biden, terrorist organization.
in any event, Trump making his threats, promises, whatever, to address immigrant status from third world hellholes. Well,
Which ought to include Mexico because Mexico is a third world hellhole.
in any event, the libs are all up in arms. Blah blah blah. I mean, you know what? Everyone's playing their part, as I say sometimes, but it's just
They lost the election, so they don't get to say, since
uh,
they're all about democracy.
you know,
The majority wins.
and the drum I'm going to keep beating in perpetuity. We'll say is the Democrats just want to burn this country down, and here's
They
another
absolutely do.
example. This
And
is
the CIA is at the head of it.
yeah. Uh, I was watching Patrick Bet David, and one of his guys, he says, "Look, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy nut, but he goes, the Biden administration brought all these Afghanis over here." He goes, how do we know the CIA didn't plant within this large group of refugees, you know, key people that that the CIA knew would most likely come here to our country and be up to no good. I mean, he
Well,
goes,
they're up to no good. So these
yeah.
are just their little. They're their elves. They're Santa's helpers.
Well, in any event, in any event, all the more reason we need to support Trump and get this, as I like to say, bovine excrement under control.
Well, I see that two things are happening, maybe three. Uh, we're in a cold civil war, and we've talked about that. We've done shows on that in the past. Only one side is shooting right now. The CIA has declared war on the American people and Muslims. They're doing a jihad, and we're helping them.
Yeah. Well, again, as I was watching this one particular Patrick Bet David episode, they were referring to it as a color war. He goes, look, we're entering into a color war now. Uh,
Meaning
well, meaning, I believe he was using.
versus white.
Yeah, I interpret it as immigrants of of multiple shades of skin color. We'll say, you almost got to be careful how you
Whites,
say stuff.
non-whites.
Verse,
Because let's remember, they didn't want, what was it? They didn't want them bringing 25 people from South Africa.
yeah, the South African farmers, who I read a news report just last week. Another white South African farmer got stabbed to death on his farm in South Africa. So much for
Well,
that
they're fine with it. They're
hellhole of a
fine with it.
country. Uh, and
I hope they're fine with it when that pendulum swings back the other way, because I think it's going to.
so just
These
we.
National Guardsmen need to be able to defend themselves, and you're right, an ambush is an ambush, but hey, you know what? I don't give a damn who they shoot at this point.
Oh, and one last thing about this poor girl that got killed, specialist fourth class. She volunteered to do a Thanksgiving duty in place of, say, a married individual who could spend time. She volunteered for this, only to be gunned down. And like I said, when you start
Well,
looking at,
no good deed goes unpunished, I
oh
always say.
yeah, like I said, there are so many third tier details to this incident that are just sickening, sickening, sickening. 20 years old. She was 20 years old.
Yeah.
20 years old and volunteered for this. And it just irritates me. For for those unaware, I'm sure our old timers are. I'm prior service. Served active duty back in the 1980s. I did 2 enlistments in the Michigan National Guard, so I'm pretty up on how that all works. Okay, but it's just it as I was reading more and more the lesser known details, the more infuriated I was becoming. You know, 20 years old, 20, 20,
His
volunteered.
shoes that old,
You know, I just
older.
yeah, I think I got a pair of boots from my army days, and that would make them close to 40.
Yeah.
But oh my goodness. Anyways, you know what? Oh, now I'm rambling, so we'll cease. We'll stop. Thanks everyone for your support. Any last thoughts, Mac, before we wrap this up?
Well, I'm looking at that flag behind you and the symbolism of it, and you know what? They're treading on us, and they've been warned, and they
Yeah.
can take that to mean whatever they want to.
So we'll call this one a wrap. Catch you all in the next segment. As always, be safe, watch your six, and don't tread on me.